This guy's running all over town, calling himself an auctioneer, trying to steal my business, and now he shows up at my auction? I don't think so.
This is America. I can say whatever I want.
You can say what you want, absolutely, but you do not have to discredit me or put me down in any way.
Come here, you. Hey.
What?
Say $5,000.
Why?
God, why not $1 million?
Well, you know what? Even if we can't sell them right away, we can use them.
Oh my God. Are you gonna bowl right now?
Yeah, right. Told you, so watch your feet.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, are you okay?
Think Dave Hester's revelations are the only secret Storage Wars has to hide? You're about to be surprised. While dark discoveries and explosive accusations have already changed how fans see the show, there are secrets most viewers have no idea about, and they're far more disturbing than anyone ever imagined. What could be worse than claims that the show was staged? And how would these revelations change everything fans thought they knew? Join us as we uncover the shocking secrets that nearly got Storage Wars canceled.
How's bidding over here?
Hey, auctioneer has the right to reopen the bid.
Don't listen to Dave. Dave will do anything to undermine me.
Learn how to catch a bid.
The gender issues inside Storage Wars. When Emily Wares was introduced to Storage Wars, her official cast biography painted a bold picture. She was described as a no-nonsense Midwestern woman who wouldn't be intimidated by the show's male-heavy cast, someone ready to call out Daryl Sheets and Renee Nazota, stand toe-to-toe with Ivy Calvin, and form a united front with Mary Padian amid all the testosterone. On paper, it sounded like a much-needed shift in power dynamics. On screen, though, the reality couldn't have been more different. What viewers actually saw was not a woman having none of it, but one repeatedly undermined by the men she was supposedly meant to challenge. Daryl Sheets openly browbeats Emily for not selling lockers fast enough, while simultaneously complaining when she raises starting bids. Ivy Calvin grumbles that her opening prices are too high. Renee Nazota pushes boundaries altogether, attempting to bend or outright violate rules around pre-auction locker inspections. Instead of standing above the chaos, Emily is forced to operate within it, constrained by the same aggressive behavior that defines the show. Far from being surrounded by testosterone and pushing back against it, Emily was effectively absorbed into the system. She circulates alongside the money, the shouting, and the egos, with little actual authority to change how the auctions play out. The promise of empowerment becomes more of a performance than a reality, something suggested by marketing materials rather than supported by what happens episode to episode. This makes Emily's role feel like a cynical move by producers, a surface-level gesture toward gender balance without any meaningful shift in power. She appears to hold authority, but that authority collapses the moment male buyers decide to challenge her. The illusion becomes even clearer when comparing episodes she runs to those handled by longtime auctioneers Dan and Laura Dotson. When Dan Dotson misses a bid and Dave Hester repeatedly calls out the mistake, the situation escalates into a physical confrontation. Hester isn't just challenging a missed bid, he's challenging Dotson's authority and masculinity, something the show treats as a combustible offense. That moment puts Storage Wars' core dynamic on display. Men assert dominance verbally and physically, while women absorb the fallout. The show's gender politics don't stop at the auction block either. The ongoing portrayal of Brandy Passante and Jared Schultz reinforces the same imbalance. Brandy is framed as wearing the pants in their relationship, which the show treats as emasculating for Jared. At auctions, he's positioned as weak or foolish, while Brandy's authority is coded as unfeminine. The message is subtle but consistent. Power belongs to men, and when women claim it, something is off. In that sense, Storage Wars has always operated as a man's world, one where masculinity is measured by volume, aggression, and dominance, and women are left navigating the consequences. Whether the broader reckoning sparked by figures like Harvey Weinstein, Roger Ailes or Bill O'Reilly will lead to real change in television remains uncertain. But when A+E Network's CEO Nancy Dubuque says this kind of behavior happens every day and shouldn't require extreme cases to draw attention, she may want to look no further than one of her own network's most popular shows. Storage Wars has been telling that story all along, but that's not all. What you think you know is about to get messier.
I'll stay down here by these guys and you go stand down there. And we'll bid against each other. I'll throw them off. They won't know what's going on.
Reality TV after Weinstein. In the aftermath of the Harvey Weinstein scandal, A+E Network's CEO Nancy Dubuque released a public statement condemning the disgraced producer's long-standing pattern of sexual misconduct. Given Weinstein's power in Hollywood and his decades of abuse, the denunciation was expected. Still, the situation was especially complicated for A+E Networks. The company sits at the center of a massive media structure jointly owned by Disney ABC Television Group and Hearst, and oversees major brands such as A&E, History, and Lifetime. At the time, one of Lifetime's flagship shows, Project Runway, was produced by the Weinstein Company, making the scandal impossible for the network to ignore. What felt more surprising, however, was turning on A&E shortly after the scandal broke and seeing back-to-back Storage Wars reruns. Watching the show through a post-Weinstein lens made something uncomfortably clear. Workplace sexism had long been baked into the series and often played for laughs. Much of Storage Wars revolves around exaggerated personalities, particularly among the male cast. Dave Hester and Daryl Sheets regularly compete for dominance, with Hester leaning into a loud, aggressive alpha persona and Sheets presenting himself as a rough working-class bully. Their behavior often sets the tone, creating an atmosphere where bravado and intimidation are normalized. Jared Schultz is positioned as the constantly frustrated partner, perpetually clashing with Brandy Passante, who is framed as controlling both their business and personal finances. While Brandy is one of the most capable buyers on the show, she's also routinely reduced to a sexualized figure. For several seasons, she functioned as the show's go-to object of desire, both for the cast and, implicitly, the audience. Barry Weiss amplified this dynamic during his early run, playing the role of the dirty old man and delivering comments that crossed from crude into openly inappropriate. As the series expanded, A&E introduced a more diverse lineup. Newer faces like Ivy Calvin, Renee Nzoda and his wife Casey Lloyd, Kenny Crossley, and Mary Padian added variety, while auctioneers rotated between longtime fixtures, Dan and Laura Dotson, and newer voices like Emily Wares. On paper, the cast appeared more balanced. In practice, the underlying culture often stayed the same. Daryl Sheets, in particular, continued to embody the show's most blatant sexism. In one episode, he refers to Emily as "sweet cheeks." When she warns him that she won't accept his bids if he keeps it up, Sheets responds with a smug grin, clearly unconcerned. Later, he sexualizes her phrasing during an auction, loudly suggesting it should become her nickname. Even when Emily pushes back, the exchange is framed as humor, with uncomfortable laughter smoothing over the moment. Over time, moments like these pile up, creating what feels like a locker room environment disguised as entertainment. As if objectifying women in a TV show that's loved by both men and women is not enough, Dave Hester came with his claim that fans have been misled for years. Let's check that out. The biggest controversy to rock Storage Wars. For fans of Storage Wars, 2012 was a year of shocking revelations. No one would have expected that one of the show's stars, Dave Hester, to air the show's dirty laundry. But after a wrongful termination of contract, Dave felt that he had nothing left to lose, and instead sued the reality show, while exposing the show's activities to the world. And the exposé was shocking. According to Hester, what viewers were seeing on screen wasn't reality. It was carefully staged entertainment designed to keep audiences hooked. At the heart of his accusations was the practice of salting, a term used in reality television to describe placing valuable items in storage lockers before auctions. Hester claimed that producers would intentionally plant expensive antiques, memorabilia, and other high-value items into units to guarantee exciting finds. In other words, some of the treasures seen on the show weren't discovered by chance. They were set up to look that way. This, he argued, created a false sense of suspense and misled fans who believed they were watching real storage auctions unfold. But the allegations didn't stop there. Hester also claimed that the auctions themselves were rigged. According to him, not every bid was genuine, and the process wasn't always a fair contest. By manipulating outcomes, producers could control which buyers scored big finds and which ones came away empty-handed. From Hester's perspective, these practices weren't just about entertainment. They crossed a line into deception, presenting the show as something it wasn't. He described the series as committing a fraud on the public. Storage Wars had long billed itself as a non-fiction reality show, giving viewers an inside look at abandoned storage locker auctions. Hester argued that this claim was misleading, as nearly every aspect of the series, from the placement of items to the scripting of interviews, was allegedly staged to enhance drama and maintain ratings. For him, this wasn't just a creative choice. It was a serious misrepresentation that deceived the audience. The controversy reached its peak when Hester said he was fired for voicing these concerns to producers. Believing he had been wrongfully terminated for speaking out against what he saw as unethical practices, Hester included claims of breach of contract and unfair business practices in his lawsuit. He sought damages not only for his firing, but also for what he perceived as a systemic problem in the show's production. The legal battle drew attention to broader questions about the authenticity of reality television. While the lawsuit eventually ended in a settlement with A&E, the case left a lasting impression on fans and critics alike. It highlighted how reality TV can blur the lines between genuine events and scripted entertainment, sparking discussions about transparency in the industry. Hester never returned to Storage Wars, but his allegations continue to shape conversations about the show and the genre as a whole, serving as a cautionary tale about what might be happening behind the cameras. People had been making accusations for years, and while that alone was enough to get fans talking, everything changed when Dave came armed with receipts. The paper trail. Fans of Storage Wars might think they know what goes on behind the scenes, but new revelations suggest the reality show was far from the authentic experience it portrayed, especially during its early seasons. In the wake of Dave Hester's high-profile lawsuit against A&E and Original Productions, sources tell RadarOnline.com that a trail of emails, receipts, and invoices may prove the show routinely faked scenes to heighten drama and ratings. According to insiders, salting on the show wasn't always done discreetly. In fact, during the first season, producers often placed items in storage units right in front of cast members and crew while taping was paused. Once the items were in place, filming would resume, and the cast would suddenly find these treasures as if by chance. Sources explained that the process often involved paying the cast members who owned the items being planted. There are invoices, checks, and other documentation where the production company actually compensated cast members for supplying items that were planted in the lockers and then discovered on camera. One insider told RadarOnline.com. Essentially, a bidder might supply a vintage toy, rare collectible, or piece of memorabilia they already owned. The production team would then pay them a rental fee for the on-camera use of the item, leaving a paper trail of emails and receipts that match the storylines shown on TV. The proof appears strikingly clear. Some of the receipts and reimbursement checks are extremely specific about the item being referenced, and those items match exactly what was found on camera, the source said. Not all items came from cast members. Some were supplied directly by the production company, but either way, they were strategically placed to maximize drama. It wasn't just a matter of convenience. The planting often occurred during the taping of episodes, leaving eyewitnesses among both the cast and crew. There were many times when a bidder was going through a room they bought, and suddenly the production company would stop taping, the insider recalled. Then they would take the item to be discovered and place it in the room right in front of the bidders and some crew members. Filming would resume, and suddenly the bidder found the item. It was so obvious it's ridiculous. Despite these allegations, A&E and Original Productions have not commented on Hester's lawsuit or the new claims. Dan Dotson, one of the show's iconic auctioneers, maintains that the show is not staged, citing protections in place to prevent unauthorized access to lockers before auctions. But multiple sources close to the production have challenged that assertion. The implications are significant. If the evidence of emails, receipts, and eyewitness accounts is accurate, it could validate Hester's long-standing claims that Storage Wars misled viewers and manipulated the auction process for television drama. What started as a reality show about abandoned storage units has, according to insiders, been a carefully orchestrated production, one where some of the treasures weren't stumbled upon by chance, but were strategically placed to keep audiences glued to their screens. Whether these revelations will lead to further legal action or a re-evaluation of the show's legacy remains to be seen. But for fans, it's a reminder that the line between reality and entertainment can be far blurrier than it appears on television. While Storage Wars stand unaffected by these accusations, it's not every scandal that the show has gone unscathed from. Here is another scandal you probably don't know about. The tragedy that ended Storage Wars in Miami. Storage Wars. Miami was supposed to be a fresh, high-energy spin-off of A&E's hit reality series, bringing the thrill of storage auctions to South Florida. Instead, the show became overshadowed by a shocking real-life tragedy that unfolded just days after its premiere, one so disturbing that it permanently changed how fans remember the series. The incident occurred during a viewing party celebrating the debut of Storage Wars, Miami. What should have been a lighthearted event quickly turned horrific when Kevin Pugh's son, Hashim, suddenly opened fire and killed family friend Janelle Hamilton. According to CBS Local 10 News, the shooting came without warning. Hashim allegedly used a stolen .45 caliber handgun, firing at Hamilton and then shooting her again while she lay on the floor. Witnesses were left stunned as the scene spiraled into chaos. Reports say Hashim was tackled by his own father, Kevin Pugh, along with his brother. The two managed to restrain him until the police arrived. The shock of the moment was compounded by statements Hashim allegedly made while being held down. According to police reports cited by TMZ, he said, "She's dead as expletive, dog," a chilling remark that showed the severity of the situation and left those present deeply shaken. Hashim Pugh was arrested and initially charged with first-degree murder. However, the case took another unsettling turn when he was later ruled incompetent to stand trial. As reported by TMZ, the court determined that Hashim was not mentally fit to proceed with the legal process. Instead of going to trial, he was remanded into the custody of the Department of Children and Families, where he would receive treatment in hopes of eventually becoming competent to stand trial. As of the most recent updates, the case's status remains unclear, leaving lingering questions and unresolved pain for those affected. In the aftermath of the tragedy, Storage Wars. Miami quietly faded away. the show never returned for a second season, and A&E never officially confirmed whether the cancellation was directly related to the murder. Still, given the timing and the severity of the incident, many fans believe the tragedy played a significant role in the decision. What was meant to be a fun expansion of the Storage Wars franchise became inseparable from one of the darkest moments associated with the series. More than a decade later, the story still stands as one of the most unsettling chapters in Storage Wars history. But when it comes to unsettling chapters, Storage Wars has a lot of those. The darkest locker find. Buying an abandoned storage locker always comes with an element of surprise. That's the entire appeal of Storage Wars. Sometimes the buyers strike gold, sometimes they walk away with junk, and occasionally they uncover something truly bizarre. But according to Daryl Sheets, one of the show's longtime regulars, there was one discovery that crossed a line no one ever expected: a human corpse. Daryl shared the story during a Season 2 special episode titled Unlocked Sell High. While the incident was never shown on camera, he revealed that one of the lockers he purchased contained the plastic-wrapped body of a woman. Unlike the typical surprises seen on the show, this find immediately triggered police involvement. According to Daryl, every item inside the locker was confiscated by the San Diego Police Department as potential evidence. Details about the case have always been limited. What is known is that authorities allegedly determined the woman had been murdered by her husband and later hidden inside the storage unit. In a 2012 interview with Reality Weekly, Daryl described the situation as deeply disturbing, adding that the case involved a very horrific story, and even mentioned an occult group, though he didn't elaborate further. That vague reference only fueled speculation and curiosity among fans. Daryl has only briefly mentioned the incident on 2 occasions, offering little clarification beyond the initial claim. Whether his reluctance to go into detail stems from genuine trauma or simply a desire to avoid reliving the experience is unclear. Some skeptics have also questioned whether the story was exaggerated or even fabricated, especially given the show's long-standing accusations of staging and planted items. That said, Daryl has consistently maintained that unsettling discoveries are part of the storage auction business. He stated that finding cremated remains, coffins, and other disturbing items isn't unheard of in abandoned units. From that perspective, stumbling upon something far worse, while rare, may not be impossible. If there truly was an occult element involved, it could help explain why the story was never explored further on television. The subject matter may have been deemed too disturbing for audiences, or legally sensitive given the criminal investigation. Did these revelations change how you see Storage Wars in any way? Share your thoughts with us in the comment section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.